Installation of electrical devices. After inspection and approval by the competent authority, the final electrical installation can be carried out. All required AFCI and GFCI protection for electrical equipment in the kitchen will be made in the panel board. Receptacle installation. Duplex receptacle decora and standard style front view. All receptacles installed in residential applications must be of the tamper-resistant type. Rear view of the duplex receptacle. Receptacle yoke, frame. Push-in connection terminals. The push-in connection is not recommended for receptacles, especially those with high current consumption, due to poor connection, which may cause damage to the device, overheating, burning. Receptacle mounting screws. Grounding screw, green. Neutral screws, silver. Hot screws, gold. A properly spliced receptacle outlet should have 3 or 5 leads, wires, for connection to a receptacle device. Do not connect more than 2 wires to the back of the receptacle. Instead, splice the wires properly before connecting to the receptacle. When attaching the receptacle to the junction box, pay attention to the gap between the top of the junction box and the surface of the installed drywall. The gap between the drywall surface and the top of the installed box housing must not be greater than 1/4 inch. Box extender with attachment screws. If the gap between the drywall surface and the top of the installed box housing is greater than 1/4 inch, a box extension must be installed. The gap between the non-combustible surface around the boxes should not be greater than 1/8 inch. If the gap is greater than 1/8 inch, the drywall must be repaired. The receptacle yoke, frame, must rest on the mounted drywall so that the receptacle can be firmly attached to the junction box. If receptacle yoke, frame, cannot adhere firmly to the drywall face, too large gap between the drywall and the junction box, a spacer must be used between the receptacle yoke and the junction box to properly secure the receptacle. Outlet spacer. Outlet spacer made of wire nut. The spacer is installed between the receptacle yoke and the junction box so that the bottom of the yoke matches the face height of the drywall. The spacer is installed between the receptacle yoke and the junction box so that the bottom of the yoke matches the face height of the drywall. Install a box extension if needed. The gap between the drywall surface and the top of the installed box casing is greater than 1/4 inch. Install the duplex receptacle. Installation of a duplex receptacle in junction boxes with 5 wires to be connected to the receptacle after splicing. 5 wires in junction box to connect to the receptacle. Splicing, connection sketch. Sketch of a connected receptacle. 5 wires in a junction box to connect to the receptacle. Make a loop at the end of each wire to connect it to the receptacle. Ground wire, bare. Neutral wires, white. Hot wires, black. Connect the ground wire, bare, from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the receptacle. Connect the neutral wires, white, from the junction box to the neutral screws, silver, of the receptacle. Connect the hot wires, black, from the junction box to the hot screws, gold, of the receptacle. Strip the ends of the wires and make loops in the ends of the wire to connect the wire to the receptacle. Remove the screws securing the receptacle. Insert the junction box extender into the junction box and connect the receptacle as follows. Ground, bare, wire from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the receptacle. Neutral, white, wires from the junction box to the neutral screws, silver, of the receptacle. Hot, black, wires from the junction box to the hot screws, gold, of the receptacle. Screw the receptacle and install the receptacle wall plate. If the tile is cut too much and does not support the receptacle yoke, the receptacle should be supported in another way. Example of a receptacle support for a poorly cut tile. Take a wire nut and cut it to the length between the junction box and the tile surface. Installation of a duplex receptacle in junction boxes with 3 wires to be connected to the receptacle after splicing. 3 wires in junction box to connect to the receptacle. Splicing, connection sketch. Sketch of a connected receptacle. 3 wires in a junction box to connect to the receptacle. Make a loop at the end of each wire to connect it to the receptacle. Ground wire, bare. Neutral wires, white. Hot wires, black. Connect the ground wire, bare, from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the receptacle. Connect the neutral wire, white, from the junction box to the neutral screw, silver, of the receptacle. Connect the hot wire, black, from the junction box to the hot screw, gold, of the receptacle. Strip the ends of the wires and make loops in the ends of the wire to connect the wire to the receptacle. Remove the screws securing the receptacle. Connect the receptacle as follow. Ground wire, bare, from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the receptacle. Neutral wire, white, from the junction box to the neutral screw, silver, of the receptacle. Hot wire, black, from the junction box to the hot screw, gold, of the receptacle. Insert the junction box extender into the junction box. Screw the receptacle and install the receptacle wall plate. If there is a gap between the receptacle wall plate and the tile wall, the screws in the receptacle wall plate are too long and need to be cut. There must be enough space behind the receptacle yoke for the longer receptacle wall plate screws. There is no slot in the wall tile for the receptacle wall plate screws. If necessary, shorten the receptacle wall plate screws. Single pole switch installation. Single pole switch decora and standard style front view. Rear view of the single pole switch. Switch yoke, frame. Switch mounting screws. Push-in connection terminals. Grounding screw, green. Hot screws, gold. A single pole switch outlet have 3 leads, wires, for connection to a switching device. When attaching the switch to the junction box, pay attention to the gap between the top of the junction box and the surface of the installed drywall. Same rules and restrictions apply as for a receptacle. Install a single pole switch. Installation of a single pole switch in junction box spliced for one single pole switch. Also a 1 gang of the 2 gang junction box is spliced for the single pole switch connection. Wires in the junction box to connect to the single pole switch. Splicing, connection sketch. Sketch of a connected single pole switch. Wiring in junction box for connection to single pole switch. Ground wire. Hot wire from the power source. Hot wire to the light fixture. Connect the ground wire, bare, from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the switch. Connect the hot wires, black, from the junction box to the hot screws, gold, of the switch in any order. Pull the spliced wires out of the junction box. Strip the ends of the wires about 1/2 inch and make a loop on the ground wire. If required by the NEC code, install a box extender. Connect the ground, bare, wire to the ground, green, screw. Connect the 2 hot, black, wires to either of the 2 hot, gold, screws. Fold the wires. Push them neatly into the junction box and attach the switch to the junction box. Level the switch. Attach the switch wall plate. Three-way switch installation. Three-way switch decora and standard style front view. Rear view of the three-way switch. Switch yoke, frame. Switch mounting screws. Push-in connection terminals. Grounding screw, green. Traveler wire screws, gold. Hot common wire screw, black. Three-way switch outlet have 4 leads, wires, for connection to a switching device. When attaching the switch to the junction box, Pay attention to the gap between the top of the junction box and the surface of the installed drywall. Same rules and restrictions apply as for a receptacle. Install a three-way switch. Installation of a three-way switch in junction box spliced for one three-way switch. Also, a 1-gang of the 2-gang junction box is spliced for the one three-way switch connection. Wires in the junction box to connect to the three-way switch. Splicing, connection sketch. Sketch of a connected three-way switch. Wiring in junction box for connection to three-way switch. Ground wire. Hot wire to the recessed light fixture. Hot wires, travelers. Connect the ground wire, bare, from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the switch. Connect one of the traveler wires, from 14(3) cable, to one of the traveler wire screws, gold, of the switch. Connect the second traveler wire, from 14(3) cable, to the other traveler wire screw, gold, of the switch. Connect the hot, black, wire from the cable to the light fixture to the hot screw, black, of the switch. Strip the ends of the wires about 1/2 inch, make a loop at the end of ground wire, and connect the switch as follows. Ground, bare, wire from the junction box to the ground terminal, green screw, of the switch. One of the traveler wires, black, or red, from the 14(3) cable to the one of the traveler wire terminals of the switch, gold screws. Hot, black, wire from the cable to the recessed light outlet to the hot common terminal, black screw, of the switch. Remaining traveler wire, red, to the other traveler wire terminal, gold screw, of the switch. Secure the switch to the junction box and install the wall plate. Installation of a three-way and single pole switch in a junction box spliced for a three-way and single pole switch. Wires in the junction box to connect to the three-way and single pole switch. Splicing, connection sketch. Sketch of connected three-way and single pole switch. Wiring in junction box for connection to single pole and three-way switch. Ground wire to connect to both switches. Wires for connecting a single pole switch. Hot wire to the recessed light fixture. Hot pigtail wire from the power source. Connect the ground wire, bare, from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the switch. Connect the hot pigtail wire from the power source to one of the hot terminals, gold screws, of the single pole switch. Connect the hot wire to the light fixture to other hot terminal, gold screw, of the single pole switch. Wires for connecting a three-way switch. Hot pigtail wire from the power source. Traveler wires, from 14(3) cable. Connect the ground wire, bare, from the junction box to the ground screw, green, of the switch. Connect the hot pigtail wire from the power source to the hot common terminal, black screw, of the three-way switch. Connect one of the traveler wires, from 14(3) cable, to one of the traveler wire terminals, gold screws, of the switch. Connect the remaining traveler wire, from 14(3) cable, to the other traveler wire terminals, gold screws, of the switch. Pull the wires out of the junction box and strip the ends of the wires about 1/2 inch. Ground wire. Hot wire to the light fixture. Hot pigtail wire from the power source. Traveler wire from 14(3) cable, black. Traveler wire from 14(3) cable, red. Hot pigtail wire from the power source. Single pole switch, front view. Single pole switch, rear view. Ground terminal, green screw. Hot terminals, gold screws. Three-way switch, front view. Three-way switch, rear view. Ground terminal, green screw. Hot common terminal, black screw. Traveler wires terminals, gold screws. Connect the single pole switch as follows. Ground wire, bare, to the ground terminal, green screw, of the switch. Hot wire, black, to the light fixture and hot pigtail wire, black, from the power source to the hot terminals, gold screws, of the switch in any order. Secure the switch to the junction box. Make a loop at the end of the ground wire and connect the three-way switch as follows. Ground wire, bare, to the ground terminal, green screw, of the switch. Hot pigtail wire, black, from the power source to the hot common terminal, black screw, of the switch. One of the traveler wires, red, can also be black, from the 14(3) cable to one of the traveler wire terminals of the switch. The other traveler wire, black, or red if black is already connected, to the second traveler wire terminal of the switch. Secure the switch to the junction box. Level the switches and install the switch wall plate. Installation of a light fixture above the table. To the junction box located above the table can be installed chandelier, pendant light fixture, surface mount light fixture, or paddle fan. Light fixture wires: bare or green ground wire, white or grooved ribbed neutral wire, black or smooth hot wire. Splicing connection sketch. Sketch of connected light fixture. Wires in the junction box to connect to the light fixture: bare ground wire, white neutral wire, black hot wire. Connect the ground, bare or green, wire from the light fixture to the ground, bare, wire from the junction box. Connect the neutral, white or grooved, ribbed, wire from the light fixture to the neutral, white wire from the junction box. Connect the hot, black or smooth, wire from the light fixture to the hot, black wire from the junction box. Install the light fixture mounting bracket to the junction box. Wrap the ground wire, bare, from the junction box around the mounting bracket ground screw and tighten the screw. Use wire nuts to connect the light fixture as follows. Ground wire, bare, from the light outlet junction box to ground wire, bare, from the light fixture. Neutral wire, white, from the light outlet junction box to neutral wire, white, from the light fixture. Hot wire, black, from the light outlet junction box to hot wire, black, from the light fixture. Using decorative screw nuts, install the light fixture canopy to the adjustable mounting screws of the light fixture mounting bracket. Chandelier wires. Ground wire, bare. Neutral wire, grooved, ribbed. Hot wire, smooth, originally marked as L line. Trim the wires to desired length. Strip the ends of wires about 1/2 inch and use the wire nuts to connect the wires as follows. Ground wire, bare, from the chandelier to the ground wire, bare, from the junction box. Neutral wire, grooved, ribbed, from the chandelier to the neutral wire, white, from the junction box. Hot wire, smooth or marked, L, from the chandelier to the hot wire, black, from the junction box. Connected wires. It is good practice to leave the chandelier wires slightly longer in case it needs to be lowered. Insert connected wires into the junction box. Wires inserted into the junction box. If you connect the ground wire from the chandelier to the ground wire from the box and attach the mounting bracket directly to the metal junction box with 2 screws. It is not necessary to connect the bracket ground screw to the ground wire. The ground wire can be connected to the ground screw of the bracket, but this is not necessary. Slide the canopy up to the ceiling and tighten the collar nut. Installation of a light fixture above the sink. To the junction box located above the sink can be installed surface mount light fixture or pendant light fixture. Surface mount light fixture wires: bare, ground wire; white, neutral wire; black, hot wire. Wires in the junction box to connect to the light fixture. Splicing, connection sketch. Sketch of a connected light fixture. Wiring in junction box for connection to the light fixture. Bare, ground wire; white, neutral wire; black, hot wire. Connect the ground, bare, wire from the light fixture to the ground, bare, wire from the junction box. Connect the neutral, white, wire from the light fixture to the neutral, white, wire from the junction box. Connect the hot, black, wire from the light fixture to the hot, black, wire from the junction box. Pre-install the light fixture mounting screws in the junction box, maintaining a gap between the junction box and the screw head. Use wire nuts to connect the light fixture as follows. Ground wire, bare, from the light fixture to ground wire, bare, from the junction box. Neutral wire, white, from the light fixture to neutral wire, white, from the junction box. Hot wire, black, from the light fixture to hot wire, black, from the junction box. Insert all connected wires into the junction box and, aligning the pre-installed screws in the junction box with the mounting holes in the light fixture housing. Install the light fixture into the junction box by inserting the screws into the holes and rotating the light fixture. Tighten the screws. Set the light color switch to your desired light color. Align the slots in the light fixture shade with the mounting points, pins, on the light fixture housing and rotate the lampshade clockwise until it locks into place. Installation of recessed light trims. Housing of the recessed light fixture after installing the plasterboard. Recessed light housing trim front view. Recessed light housing trim rear view. Install the recessed lighting fixture trim into the housing. Installed recessed lighting fixture trim.
Attach light trim to the housing by screwing on light trim base into housing light bulb socket. Compress the springs and insert into the ears on the inside of the recessed housing can. Push trim into the housing until the trim is flush with the ceiling surface.
Installation of a remodel recessed light after the wall is finished and the cable left behind the drywall. After finishing the ceiling, you can install recessed light remodel housing, arcanless recessed light, cable left behind the drywall for recessed light. Cut a hole in the ceiling and install a remodel recessed light fixture. Recessed light installed.
Mark light location, cable already installed during rough-in wiring before sheetrock installation. Drill hole for the light fixture using 3 1/4 inch drill cutter, drilling counterclockwise, otherwise sheetrock damage possible. Hole can be also cut by sheetrock saw. Template may not be supplied. Pull cables, already installed, from the ceiling. Trim cables if needed. Insert cable into approved cable connector. Cables must be at least 6 inches long. Strip the cable's jacket. If needed, disconnect recessed light lamp from the junction box. Open junction box cover and open the junction box knockout. Insert connector with the cables into the junction box opening. Insert push-in wire connector, supplied with the light, on each wire from the recessed light lamp. Trim wires if needed and strip ends of conductors around 1/2 inch. Insert ground, bare cable conductors into push-in wire connector of the fixture, ground green wire, and tuck the wires inside the junction box. Insert neutral, white cable conductors into push-in wire connector of the fixture, neutral white wire, and tuck wires inside the junction box. Insert hot, black cable conductors into push-in wire connector of the fixture, hot black wire, and tuck wires inside the junction box. Close junction box cover and select desired lamp color temperature on toggle switch. Insert junction box into the ceiling opening. Reconnect recessed light lamp from the junction box if it was disconnected. Rest the one torsion spring on the sheetrock in the ceiling opening, squeeze the other torsion spring and insert fixture into the ceiling. To remove the installed fixture, gently pull the fixture little bit down to reach the torsion spring. Squeeze the spring and take out the fixture.
Installation of a receptacle for dishwasher. The cable for the dishwasher receptacle is left in the expected receptacle location. When installing the drywall and the kitchen cabinets, the cable is pulled through them and left in the place where the dishwasher receptacle will be installed. The cable to the dishwasher receptacle can also be run through the back wall of the cabinet. In this picture, the second cable installed will be for the waste disposer receptacle. In this wiring example, a single 20 amps receptacle will be installed in a surface mount junction box, and this receptacle and its circuit will be AFCI and GFCI protected in the panel board as required. Optionally, the receptacle can also be mounted as a recessed type in the wall, when the cable comes out from the back wall of the sink cabinet. To install a surface-mounted single receptacle for dishwasher, you will need 4 inches square metal junction box, raised junction box cover for a single receptacle, 20 amps 125 volts single receptacle, button-type push-in cable connector or similar, ground screw, junction box attachment screws, single receptacle details, front view, yoke, attachment screws, holes in the receptacle yoke for installation, the receptacle wall plate, support ears that can be cut off for certain installations, single receptacle, rear view, ground connection terminal, green screw, neutral connection terminal, silver screw, hot connection terminal, gold screw, 4 inches square metal junction box details. The capacity of a junction box depends on its size. Cable knockouts 16 total. Holes for screws to secure the junction box to flat surfaces. Raised ground screw hole. Screws for attaching the junction box cover. Raised junction box cover for single receptacle. Holes for screws securing the cover to the junction box. Screws to attach single receptacle to the raised cover. 12. 2 nm cable wires. Bare, ground wire. White, neutral wire. Black, hot wire. Open the junction box knockout, insert the approved cable connector and insert the cable into the cable connector. Secure the junction box to the surface of the sink base cabinet. Install the ground screw. Remove the cable sheath. Wrap the ground, bare wire around the ground screw and tighten the screw. Trim the wires no shorter than 6 inches and strip the ends of the wires about 1/2 inch. Remove the mounting screws from the receptacle and cut off the ears holding the receptacle. Connect the receptacle as follows. Ground, bare wire from the junction box to the ground terminal, green screw, of the receptacle. Neutral, white wire from the junction box to the neutral terminal, silver screw, of the receptacle. Hot, black wire from the junction box to the hot terminal, gold screw, of the receptacle. Remove the cover mounting screws from the junction box. Attach the receptacle to the raised cover. Install the raised junction box cover with the receptacle to the junction box. Describe the receptacle. If the dishwasher is not equipped with a power cord, install an appropriately sized power cord to the dishwasher. Check the dishwasher label for the power rating, usually around 10 amps. Power cord meeting the requirements of a dishwasher power cord after length adjustment, 14.3 power cord, rated 15 amps, 1875 watts. You will also need a clamp connector or other approved cord installation connector. To install the dishwasher power cord, remove the kick plate. Open the dishwasher junction box cover. Install the clamp connector into the open junction box knockout. Cut the power cord to the desired length, 3 to 6.5 feet. Strip the power cord to a length of not less than 6 inches and strip the ends of the wires to a length of approximately 1/2 inch. Insert the power cord into the cord connector and tighten the connector screws. Connect the wires as follows. Ground wire, green, from the dishwasher to ground wire, green, from the power cord. Neutral wire, white, from the dishwasher to neutral wire, white, from the power cord. Hot wire, black, from the dishwasher to hot wire, black, from the power cord. Insert all connected wires into the junction box. Reinstall the junction box cover. Reinstall the dishwasher kickplate. Installation of a receptacle for microhood. The cable for the microhood receptacle is left in the expected receptacle location. When installing drywall and kitchen cabinets, the cable is pulled through them and left in the place where the microhood receptacle will be installed, usually inside the cabinet above the microhood. The cable to the microhood receptacle is routed through the back wall of the cabinet. In this wiring example, a single 20 amps receptacle will be installed in a surface mount junction box, and this receptacle and its circuit will be AFCI protected in the panel board as required. The microhood receptacle is installed in the same way as the dishwasher receptacle described above, except that the cable should come out from the back wall of the kitchen cabinet. Optionally, the receptacle can also be mounted as a recessed type in the wall.